On January 22, 2025, President Donald Trump signed an executive order deploying 1,500 U.S. troops to the U.S. Mexico border. This move escalates efforts to curb illegal immigration and bolster border security. The order cites an overwhelmed border patrol and a crisis of illegal crossings and drug trafficking. The order has ignited controversy, drawing both praise and condemnation. Supporters argue it addresses a national security threat. They point to rising apprehensions and drug flow as evidence of a crisis. Opponents view it as unnecessary militarization. They argue it won't address root causes of migration and could escalate tensions with Mexico. The deployment of troops to the U.S.-Mexico border is not without precedent. Both Republican and Democratic presidents have authorized military personnel for border security. In 1997, President Clinton deployed troops under Operation Guardian Support. National Guard troops assisted the Border Patrol with surveillance. In 2006, President Bush authorized Operation Jump Start. This operation supported the Border Patrol's staffing increase. In 2010, President Obama deployed troops under Operation Phalanx. This addressed drug trafficking and illegal crossings. The current deployment involves active duty troops. Active duty troops are more highly trained and equipped. This deployment is open-ended, suggesting a long-term solution. The 1,500 troops deployed to the border will not be directly involved in law enforcement activities. Instead, they will provide support to the Border Patrol in a variety of ways. One of the primary roles of the troops will be to assist with the construction of a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. The troops will provide engineering and logistical support for the construction effort. In addition to wall construction, the troops will also assist with surveillance activities. They will operate surveillance equipment, monitor sensor data, and provide aerial reconnaissance. This will free up Border Patrol agents to focus on apprehending individuals attempting to cross the border illegally. The troops will also provide logistical support to the Border Patrol, such as transportation, maintenance, and medical care. This will allow the Border Patrol to dedicate more resources to its core mission of border security. Section 4. A nation divided, applause and alarm. The deployment of troops to the border has been met with a mixture of applause and alarm from the American public. Supporters of the deployment argue that it is necessary to address the crisis at the border. They point to the rising number of apprehensions at the border as evidence that the situation is out of control. They also argue that the flow of illegal drugs across the border poses a serious threat to public safety. Supporters of the deployment believe that the presence of troops at the border will deter illegal crossings and drug trafficking. They argue that the troops will provide much-needed support to the Border Patrol, which is currently overwhelmed by the situation at the border. Opponents of the deployment argue that it is a dangerous and unnecessary militarization of the border. They argue that it will do little to address the root causes of migration, such as poverty and violence in Central America. Opponents also worry that the deployment of troops will escalate tensions with Mexico. They point out that the Mexican government has condemned the deployment, calling it a hostile act. Section 5. The long road ahead, legal battles and uncertain futures. The deployment of troops to the border is likely to face legal challenges. Critics argue that the deployment exceeds the president's authority and violates the Posse Comitatus Act, which limits the use of the military for domestic law enforcement. The deployment is also likely to be costly. The Pentagon has estimated that the deployment will cost $210 million for the first 45 days. This cost is likely to increase if the deployment is extended. The long-term impact of the deployment on illegal immigration and drug trafficking is unclear. Some experts believe that the deployment will have a deterrent effect, leading to a decrease in illegal crossings and drug trafficking. However, other experts believe that the deployment will have little impact on illegal immigration and drug trafficking. They argue that people who are desperate to flee violence and poverty in their home countries will find a way to cross the border regardless of the presence of troops. The deployment of troops to the border is a complex and controversial issue with no easy answers. It remains to be seen what the long-term impact of the deployment will be